Welcome to the Temple of Moonlight Stillness. Tonight, I invite you on a journey through timeless teachings, ancient wisdom that quiets the mind and nurtures the soul. Find a place of comfort. Let your body grow heavy, supported by your bed. Let your breath return to its natural rhythm. As you settle, I'll share a tale of unseen threads and the purpose behind the people who walk into our lives. Our story unfolds on a mist-covered mountain, where a secluded monastery rests among blooming cherry trees and the sound of distant temple bells. Here, beneath the ancient branches, we meet a young traveler named Hiroshi and an elder monk named Hataka, a teacher whose presence seemed as grounded as the mountain itself, though his hair had turned silver with age. Hataka's eyes still held the quiet clarity of deep lakes. Unlike many who sought solitude in silence, he believed that connection with others, with the world, was an essential part of awakening. One spring morning, as petals drifted gently in the breeze, Hataka noticed a young man approaching the monastery gate. His steps were firm, but his eyes carried uncertainty, the look of someone bearing a question too heavy to carry alone. Hiroshi had journeyed over 2 weeks from a southern fishing village. He had never met Hataka, yet something beyond logic had called him here. He later described it as a voice I couldn't hear, but somehow understood, like a current of invisible fate guiding him north. After being welcomed and offered tea, Hiroshi finally spoke. "Master Hataka," he said with a respectful bow. "All my life I've noticed something I can't explain. Sometimes I meet someone and instantly feel like I've known them forever. With others, I feel uneasy from the first moment, as if a shadow passes through me. Are these feelings random? Or is there something deeper guiding these connections?" Hataka studied the young man, the sunlight filtering through the blossoms painting soft shadows across his face. For a long moment, he said nothing, only allowed the silence to breathe between them, like the echo of a temple bell. Then he spoke, his voice calm and rooted. "No one enters your life by accident. This truth runs deeper than oceans and reaches higher than mountaintops. Every meeting is a thread in a tapestry woven long before you were born. The Buddha taught that we are all connected. In lifetimes past, we've been each other's parents, children, friends, and strangers." He rose slowly, joints creaking from the memory of many winters, and pointed toward the sky. "Watch the birds, Hiroshi. They seem to fly freely, yet they ride unseen currents of air shaped by wind and weather. We too are carried by invisible currents, karma, intention, and shared destiny. Nothing happens without cause. No encounter is meaningless." Hiroshi pondered this as birds glided overhead. He had heard of karma, of course, but never truly felt how it shaped the relationships in his life. "But Master," he asked, "if no connection is random, why do some people bring so much difficulty? Why do some arrive like blessings, while others feel like burdens?" Hataka smiled gently and motioned for him to follow into the monastery garden. The space was meticulously cared for, stones, plants, water, all placed with quiet intention. "Imagine your life as a garden," the old monk said. "Each person you meet is like a seed planted by destiny." He pointed to a mighty maple tree. "Some grow into strong trees that shelter you through many seasons. Then to a patch of wildflowers. Others bloom briefly, only for a moment, but their beauty changes you, and the soil remembers their presence." Hiroshi thought of the village elder who raised him after his father died, and a wandering musician whose songs stirred in him a longing for something more. They walked in silence to a stream, where Hiroshi saw his reflection in the moving water, familiar yet changed. "And those who hurt us?" he asked softly. "What place do they hold in the garden?" Hataka's eyes grew gentle with memory. "Those who cause us pain," he said, "are often our greatest teachers." He picked up a smooth stone from the stream. "They are like the sharp stones we step on. Painful at first, but over time, shaped by footsteps, they become smooth. Their roughness transforms us. The Buddha taught, no one saves us but ourselves. We must walk the path. The ones who betray us, the strangers who wound us, even they serve a purpose. They help reveal the edges of our path, showing us where we do not belong so that we may find where we truly do." They sat beneath a flowering plum tree as petals drifted like snow. "There are 3 kinds of people who enter the garden of your life," Hataka said. "Knowing them helps you meet each one with clarity. First are the foundations, the ones who offer stability, like riverbanks that shape your flow. Second are the awakeners, those who stir change, challenge you, disrupt comfort, and spark growth. Third are the momentary guides, those who appear only for a step or two but light the way just long enough for you to continue. Hiroshi reflected on those who matched each role. His mother, unwavering, a traveling scholar, a stranger who gave directions when he was most lost. But master, he asked, how do I know which ones to hold close and which to release? Hataka paused, then answered. The Buddha said, in the end, only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go. Ask yourself, does this person nourish the garden of your spirit, or do they trample it? Your heart will tell you, if you listen. They watched shadows shift across the garden floor as clouds passed overhead. Just as others enter your life with purpose, Hataka added, so too do you enter theirs. You may be the strong tree, the brief blossom, or the stone that shapes their path. The Buddha said, thousands of candles can be lit from a single flame, and the life of the candle is not shortened. Your presence may brighten many lives without ever losing your light. As evening approached, Hiroshi prepared to leave. He had planned only to ask a question but found himself transformed. I'm afraid I'll forget these lessons when I return to the world, he confessed. Hataka reached into his robe and placed 3 small objects in Hiroshi's hand: a smooth stone, a dried blossom, and a tiny carved lantern. When you doubt, the monk said, remember the 3 types of connection. And remember, if you light a lamp for another, it also brightens your own path. As Hiroshi walked down the mountain, he noticed everyone he passed, each traveler, each villager, as a thread in a vast tapestry. Years later, Hiroshi would become a teacher known for his wisdom about human connection. He often held those 3 small gifts from Hataka in meditation, worn smooth by time. And when asked the most important lesson he ever learned, he would smile and say, no one enters our lives by chance. Every encounter is a seed in the garden of your spirit. Some become trees, some flowers, some stones, but all serve a purpose. All are part of your awakening. As dawn's soft light spills through the branches of ancient cedars, we find ourselves arriving at a serene valley monastery, a place known not only for its stillness, but for its teachings on the delicate art of wise compassion. Take a slow, steady breath. Let go of whatever clings to your shoulders. Feel the body settle a little deeper into stillness. Tonight's story offers insight into a truth that challenges many of us, that even well-intended help can sometimes do harm. The Buddha once said, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. But what does true compassion look like? Is it always stepping in to fix things? Or does it sometimes mean holding back, watching with presence while another learns to stand on their own? In this peaceful monastery where streams meander between mossy stones lived a monk named Noro, revered not for lofty sermons, but for practical wisdom rooted in daily life. Villagers and seekers came from far provinces, drawn by his ability to see clearly into the tangled patterns of the human heart. One crisp autumn morning, as red maple leaves danced in the breeze, Noro sat with his students. Among them was a young monk named Takashi, whose troubled face caught the teacher's attention. Today, Noro began, we speak of the wisdom of non-interference, when helping becomes hindering. A murmur of surprise moved through the group. Wasn't it always good to help? Let me tell you a story, Noro said, settling deeper onto his cushion. Once there were 2 childhood friends, Shun and Masu, who grew up in a coastal village. Their bond was deep, forged in shared laughter, long days of fishing, and silent evenings beneath the stars. As adults, their paths diverged. Shun became a merchant. Masu remained a fisherman. One year, storms ravaged the village. Masu's boat was badly damaged. Too proud to ask for help, he took on odd jobs, determined to earn the repair cost himself. Shun, seeing his friend struggle, devised what he believed was a kind plan. He secretly paid the boat builder in advance, asking him to tell Masu that the repairs were covered by a mysterious village fund. First, Masu felt grateful, but as he asked around, doubts arose. No one else had heard of this fund. Eventually, he learned the truth. When Masu confronted Shun, the air between them shifted. I would rather have worked for a year than be deceived by my closest friend, Masu said. I only wanted to help, Shun replied. But it was not your struggle to solve, Masu answered. Some storms we must weather ourselves. Noro paused, letting the lesson settle. The Buddha taught, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. Takashi stirred and finally spoke. Master, he said quietly, I think I've made this mistake. My sister is studying to become a healer. Without telling her, I rewrote all her study notes to make them simpler. I thought I was helping, but when she found out, she was hurt. She said I made her feel incapable. Noro nodded gently. That's the heart of today's teaching. True compassion includes restraint. Sometimes allowing others to struggle is the greatest kindness. If someone is drowning and asks for help, offer your hand. But if they are learning to swim, your interference may rob them of strength they're just beginning to discover. A soft rain began to fall outside, its rhythm echoing the quiet reflection in the room. The Buddha was clear, Noro continued. Each person must navigate their own karma. Even he, fully awakened, offered teachings only to those who sought them. To interfere without invitation is to plant seeds in soil that is not ready. Another student raised a hand. But Master, how do we know when to help and when to wait? Noro smiled. Before giving, he said, ask yourself, am I honoring this person's journey, or am I trying to feel useful? Has my help been asked for? Will this act empower them, or diminish them? And above all, is this truly mine to solve? He drew a circle in the sand before him. Every life has a boundary. Inside are the experiences meant for that soul alone. Compassion means staying near but not stepping inside unless invited. The rain ceased. Sunlight filtered softly through the paper windows. In the monastery garden, droplets clung to petals and leaves. Noro guided his students outside where a spiderweb stretched between two branches. Look at this, he said. The spider spins its web, but does not chase the insects. The web is an offering. Help, when given with wisdom, is the same, an offering, not a demand. True compassion creates conditions for growth without trying to control the outcome. Takashi stood quietly beside Noro. I will visit my sister, he said, and instead of giving answers, I will ask what kind of support she truly wants. Noro placed a hand on the young monk's shoulder. That is compassion, he said, the kind that nourishes instead of depleting. As twilight settled over the valley, the students reflected silently. A simple lesson had unfolded into profound wisdom. As you drift toward sleep, consider this in your own life. Are there places where your desire to help might be stifling someone's growth? Could stepping back, while staying lovingly near, be the greatest gift you can offer? The Buddha taught, all beings are the owners of their karma. We each walk a path meant just for us. Let your compassion walk beside others, not ahead of them. May you rest tonight in the peace of knowing when to act, and when to simply be present. As the lanterns glow softly in the fading evening light, we arrive at a remote mountain temple nestled among ancient pines. The sound of rushing water nearby weaves a gentle song for the soul. Here, the air is cool and clean. And here, we explore a wisdom often left unspoken, how to recognize those who harm, and how to protect your peace without hardening your heart. Take a deep breath. Let it fill your chest, then gently release it. Feel yourself arriving into the stillness of this moment. The Buddha once taught, you yourself, as much as anybody in the universe, deserve your love and affection. This is not a call to selfishness, but a reminder. Protecting your well-being is not unkind. It is necessary. In this quiet sanctuary lived a wise elder monk named Hogi, renowned for his deep insight into human nature. People came to him not only for spiritual teachings, but for guidance through difficult relationships, especially the ones that drained the spirit. One spring morning, a young woman named Shara arrived at the temple. Her expression was weary but determined. She had walked many days to ask a question she could no longer carry alone. Over warm tea beneath blooming plum trees, she bowed and spoke. Master Hogi, she said, I find myself repeatedly drawn into relationships that leave me feeling confused, diminished, and empty. And I never recognize the harm until it has already taken root. Please teach me how to see more clearly. Hogi looked into her eyes with compassion and said, before we begin, you must understand. Those we call harmful are not always cruel on purpose. Many act from wounds they themselves don't understand. This awareness brings compassion, but it does not mean we must let their pain become ours. He invited her to walk through the temple garden as he shared the signs. The first, he said, is manipulation. These people twist truth subtly. They make you question your own memory, your worth, your perception of reality. Like a vine that coils around a young tree, Their influence suffocates slowly. The second is a lack of true empathy. They may act caring when others are watching, or when it serves their purpose. But in your moments of real struggle, they vanish or worse, criticize you for needing anything. Shara nodded slowly, recognizing past experiences in his words. The third sign, Hoagie continued, is a pattern of conflict. Some stir tension wherever they go. Peace unsettles them. They whisper to divide, find fault where none exists, or thrive in chaos. You may think it's your fault, but the storm was theirs, not yours. They paused near a high overlook. Below, the valley stretched in serene beauty. The fourth is a need for control, he said. These individuals cannot allow others to live freely. They dictate how you should speak, think, act, masking control as concern. Shara thought of someone she had once trusted who constantly questioned her choices, always framing it as caring. The fifth, Hoagie said, is dishonesty. Lies, large or small, become habitual. Their words shift like sand. Promises dissolve. Stories change. And when you confront them, they claim your memory is at fault. They continued along a path through the bamboo grove. The sixth is boundary violation. You say no. They push. You express discomfort. They mock. Healthy limits are treated as obstacles to be removed. And finally, he said, listen to how you feel in their presence. Do you feel smaller, anxious, drained? Your body holds wisdom long before your mind catches up. Trust the tension. Trust the fatigue. These are sacred messengers. Shara stood quietly, her hands folded before her. Then she asked, but what do I do when the harmful person is someone close, family? A colleague, someone I cannot simply walk away from. Hoagie nodded. This is where compassionate distance becomes your shield. First, honor your own truth. Set internal boundaries, even when external ones are hard to express. Know clearly what you will allow and what you will not. Second, when possible, speak your needs gently but firmly. Say, this is not okay with me, rather than you are bad. Hold your ground without attacking. Third, limit exposure. Be with them only as much as your peace can withstand. You do not owe constant access to those who damage your spirit. Fourth, detach emotionally. Not with cruelty, but with wisdom. Their behavior is about their condition, not your worth. And finally, he said, wish them well from afar. Carry no hatred, but carry your peace. They returned to the temple where afternoon light poured through the wooden slats. Hoagie poured another cup of tea and added, one more thing. These traits often appear together. Where there is manipulation, there may also be control. Where there are lies, there may be boundary violations. Recognizing one may reveal others. Shara bowed deeply. Thank you, Master. You have not only helped me see others more clearly, you have helped me see myself. Hoagie smiled. When you begin to honor your inner peace, you begin to change what you allow. And in doing so, you shift not only your path, but the paths of those around you. As night falls and you prepare to rest, reflect on your own life. Are there connections that leave you feeling unwell, unheard, unseen? Where might gentle distance restore your peace? Remember, as the Buddha taught, you yourself, as much as anyone, deserve your love and affection. Let that love include the courage to protect your spirit. Sleep well in the safety of your own light. As the night deepens and silence gathers like mist in a mountain valley, we find ourselves approaching a small cliffside hermitage. From here, the world stretches far below, quiet, moonlit, timeless. Tonight, we reflect on a truth rarely spoken in modern life. That having fewer, deeper friendships may bring more peace than a crowd of shallow connections. Take a breath. Let your body sink into the comfort of stillness. In a world that often measures worth by how many friends or followers one has, the Buddha's wisdom offers a different way of seeing. That even one true friend is a treasure beyond measure. High on this mountain lived a monk named Kobo. Unlike teachers who gathered large followings, Kobo preferred a simple life, guiding only a few seekers at a time. His hermitage was humble, just a meditation hall, a kitchen, and rooms for quiet reflection. But those who came said the peace there lingered long after they had gone. One autumn day, a young woman named Alina arrived. She came not for answers to complex questions, but for relief from a feeling she couldn't name, an ache that no busyness could soothe. After tea in the wind-stirred garden, she shared her truth. Master Kobo, she said, my life is full of work, responsibilities, social events. I know many people, and yet, I feel empty. I see others surrounded by friends, laughter, noise. but I have only two close companions. Sometimes, I go weeks without seeing anyone outside work. Is something wrong with me? Kobo listened without judgment. Then he smiled. Alina, he said, I will share why fewer friends may be not only enough but better. He invited her to walk to the edge of the cliff. Below them, the valley glowed under the moon. Relationships, he said, are not measured in number, but in depth. The Buddha taught, a true friend is one who stands beside you in your hour of need. One friend like this is more nourishing than 1,000 who simply fill space. He pointed to 2 pine trees growing close together at the cliff's edge. Their roots were visibly intertwined. Those trees have grown together through many storms. Their connection runs deep, giving them strength. Alina thought of her 2 friends, her cousin Jiro and her childhood neighbor May. With them, she felt free to be herself. Their presence never demanded performance. Many people, Kobo continued, exhaust themselves trying to maintain wide circles. They smile when they wish to rest. They entertain when their hearts crave silence. They perform happiness instead of living truth. The Buddha said, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. In the same way, one genuine bond outweighs a multitude of surface ties. They paused beneath a maple tree, its leaves drifting like embers. Fewer friendships also create space for solitude, creativity, and growth. The Buddha often retreated to the forest alone. In that solitude, he discovered awakening. Alina nodded slowly. She had always found peace in quiet evenings with her journal and brushwork. But she'd been taught that wanting solitude meant something was missing. Kobo looked at her gently. Wanting fewer connections is not lack, he said. It is discernment. Just as the body craves nourishment, the soul craves truth. And truth rarely lives in crowds. He poured tea as they returned to the garden. Solitude, he said, allows you to grow into yourself. When your worth is no longer measured by company, your spirit begins to bloom in unseen ways. Alina thought of how much freer she felt when not surrounded by expectations. How her creativity surged in silence. How her heart opened most in quiet, sincere exchanges. Kobo gestured toward the sky. Look at the stars, he said. Each burns in its own space, bright and alone. But together, they light the sky. That is the kind of friendship you seek. Not proximity, but resonance. Alina asked, but why do I still feel like something's wrong when I'm alone? Because, Kobo replied, the world teaches that worth is loud, busy, and surrounded. But the Buddha taught that peace comes from within, not from how many know your name, but from how deeply you know yourself. He invited her to try a practice. Each day, he said, bring your full presence to the connections you do have. Listen deeply. Speak truthfully. Notice which relationships open your heart and which leave you drained. In time, you will see that depth was what you were longing for all along. Alina stayed at the hermitage for 3 days. She moved with its rhythms, meditation, quiet meals, tending the garden. Slowly, her loneliness softened into something else, spaciousness, clarity, gratitude. On her final evening, she and Kobo watched the moon rise together. I thought I came here because I was missing something, she said. But now I see. I was only missing permission to be as I am. Kobo nodded with warmth. The Buddha said, happiness is not having much but giving with a full heart. Your heart has given deeply to the few who matter. That is more than enough. As you drift toward sleep, let this wisdom settle. You do not need many to be whole. One true friend, one moment of presence, one breath of peace that is richness enough. The night does not need noise to be beautiful, and you do not need the crowd to feel complete. May your rest tonight be quiet and deep. May your spirit remember you are not alone in your aloneness. And your few. True connections are sacred beyond counting. As the night grows deeper and the world softens into stillness, we journey to the edge of an ancient city, to a marketplace where a great teacher once offered wisdom beneath the spreading branches of a banyan tree. Tonight, we explore a powerful truth, that forgiveness does not excuse the past, it frees the present. Let your body sink into rest. Let your breath slow. Allow the tensions of the day to melt away. The Buddha once said, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. In the bustling city of Rajagaha, a crowd once gathered to hear the Buddha speak. People came from all walks of life, farmers, nobles, merchants, and servants, drawn by his calm presence and the peace that seemed to radiate from him. Among the crowd stood a man named Devadatta. His face was hardened by years of resentment. Once a respected merchant and interpreter of sacred rites, he had seen his influence decline as the Buddhist teachings spread. Teachings that prioritized inner peace over rituals and ethics over status. One day, unable to bear it any longer, Devadatta pushed through the crowd and stood before the Buddha. Without warning, he spat directly in the teacher's face. Gasps rose around him. The Buddha's disciples stirred, anger flashing in their eyes, but the Buddha simply raised his hand, signaling stillness. He wiped his face gently and, with a calm voice, said, "Thank you." Devadatta was stunned. "You thanked me?" He spat. "I insulted you." The Buddha replied, "If a person offers a gift, but the gift is declined, to whom does the gift belong?" "To the giver," Devadatta answered. "And so," said the Buddha, "you have offered me anger, but I do not accept it. It remains with you, but I thank you for giving me the opportunity to practice patience." Devadatta turned and left, shaken. That night, he could not sleep. The Buddha's words echoed in his mind. By morning, something inside him had changed. The anger he had carried for years felt like a burden he no longer wished to bear. At first light, he returned to the banyan tree, bowed low, and said, "I am ashamed. I came to hurt you, but you offered me peace. Please forgive me." The Buddha replied, "There is nothing to forgive. The man who stood before me yesterday is not the one who stands before me now. He exists only in memory." Devadatta wept not from shame, but from the unexpected grace he had received. Later, he would tell others, "I sought revenge, but what I received was release." As the Buddha taught, forgiveness is not about letting others off the hook. It's about releasing ourselves from the poison of prolonged pain. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean accepting harm. It means putting down what no longer serves us so that healing can begin. And forgiveness must also extend inward. Many of us carry guilt for words we wish we hadn't spoken, paths we didn't follow, people we feel we failed. But the Buddha reminded us, you, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Forgiving ourselves means recognizing that we, too, are still becoming, that we acted from the understanding we had at the time, that we are allowed to change. Imagine now the people you've carried in your heart with pain, those who hurt you, those you may have hurt, and the version of yourself you struggle to forgive. See them gently, without justification, without shame, just as they were. Then see yourself choosing to release. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. As you drift toward sleep, reflect on this truth. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is freedom. It is the gentle strength to unclench your fist and lay the burden down. May you rest tonight lighter than before. And may the first breath of morning bring with it the peace you've made space to receive. As night deepens around us, we journey to a temple nestled high in the forested mountains, where cherry blossoms drift like soft snow and quiet streams sing to the stones. Here, beneath the shelter of ancient trees, we uncover a hidden teaching that kindness, when unbalanced, can quietly become a burden. Let your body settle. Let your breath slow. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, release the belief that giving must always mean self-sacrifice. The Buddha once taught, you yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and affection. This is not an invitation to selfishness, but a call to balance, to offer compassion inward as well as outward. In this quiet sanctuary lived an elder monk named Arrow, known for his wisdom in navigating life's subtle paradoxes. One spring morning, a young woman named Kiara arrived at the temple, her face lovely but clouded with exhaustion. She bowed and said, "Master Arrow, I've always been the one others come to, the helper, the listener, the giver. I do my best to offer support, to ease others' suffering. But lately, I feel hollow. Kindness is supposed to bring joy, isn't it? Why do I feel so depleted?" Arrow studied her gently. "Before I answer," he said, "tell me, when was the last time you did something purely for yourself, with no intention of helping anyone else?" Kiara looked startled. I don't know. I always feel guilty focusing on myself when others are struggling." Arrow nodded. "Let me tell you a story." They walked through the temple garden, where herbs grew among stones and birds sang in the branches. "In a certain village," he said, There was a great cherry tree. It gave fruit and shade and beauty. Each family took turns caring for it, watering, pruning, clearing pests. In return, the tree flourished, and so did the village. But over time, some stopped helping. Others tried to do it all, to give more, to compensate. These generous ones neglected their own gardens, their homes, their health. The cherry tree, though still tended, began to suffer. Its care was no longer balanced. It was drenched one week and ignored the next. It began to wither. You see, even kindness can become imbalanced when it is not shared in wisdom. Kiara's eyes filled with quiet understanding. The Buddha taught the middle way, Arrow continued. Compassion must include you. When you give beyond your capacity, when you override your own needs, kindness becomes obligation. You disappear inside it. They paused near a stone bench. Arrow picked up a teacup and filled it to the brim. When the cup overflows, he said, it spills and wastes. But when filled mindfully, it offers just enough warmth, comfort, presence. He placed the cup in her hands. Balanced kindness begins with knowing your limits and respecting them. Kiara nodded slowly. I see now. I was afraid that if I stopped giving, I would stop being needed. And if I wasn't needed, maybe I wasn't valuable. Arrow offered a gentle smile. Your worth is not measured by how much you give away. The Buddha taught that each being has intrinsic value, not earned through service, but inherent in being alive. As the wind stirred blossoms across the garden path, Arrow offered her practical wisdom. Before you say yes, pause. Ask yourself, am I giving freely or from guilt? Am I saying yes out of fear or out of love? Set boundaries. Speak with kindness, not apology. Say, I wish I could help today, but I need time to rest. This is not selfish. This is sacred. Kiara's shoulders softened. For the first time in years, she felt a quiet permission to tend to her own soil. Arrow concluded, true kindness is like sunlight. It nourishes, but never scorches. When you give from balance, your presence brings more healing than any sacrifice ever could. As you prepare to sleep, reflect gently. Have you been giving from overflow or from depletion? Have you made space for your own well-being? Let tonight be a turning point, a place where kindness becomes whole again, strong, generous, and rooted in peace. May you rest tonight in the soft embrace of balance, and may your kindness, going forward, include yourself.